Hello everyone. I haven't posted any updates for a while. My husband had an accident and nearly cut off 2 of his fingers. That's bad enough, but he's also a hemophiliac. So needless to say, it caused a lot of stress. He's fine, he's back at work and doing occupational therapy. I do have one finish to show, as you can see. I've shown this before, but I finally finished the Butterflies by Jessica Wilcox Smith. I have worked a little bit on my Once Upon a Time sampler as well, but I found it hard to concentrate on stitching lately. Plus I've had a lot of other things, one of which my son had an assignment that required tracing our family tree. So because parents were allowed to help with that part of the assignment, I ran with it. I spent many hours tracing all the family members, and it turns out, in my case, the saying that America is a melting pot is true. On my husband's side, I traced it to Ireland, his mother's to England, and my mother's side to Germany, and my dad's side to France. On my husband's side, they were poor immigrants, and on my side of the family, my mother and father, they were wealthy, I guess wealthy for that time period, landowners. So it was quite diverse. There were a lot of fascinating people. My son, who's 12, of course, was only fascinated by the ones who were soldiers. I even found an oil painting of one of my relatives who was an American Indian, and someone had it commissioned, and also a photograph in a newspaper article about another American Indian that was in our line. That we had a photograph of her. But one thing that really stood out to me is there were a lot of childhood deaths, and quite a few women who it appears died during or shortly after childbirth. Anyway, I found the whole process fascinating and just wanted to share that. I also wanted to do the November tag, Get to Know Your Stitcher tag, and I have the questions here. The first one is, where do you live? I live in the United States, in a place called King George. It's about 90 minutes from Washington, D.C., the U.S. Capitol. What do you do for a living? Before I stopped working to have my children, I was a postal carrier for the United States Postal Service. Do you have any children? I have 3. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. Do you have any pets? My children have a number of pets. I personally have 2 rabbits, a Dutch rabbit, and a mini Rex. What are your other hobbies? I just started learning how to paint. In fact, I've mentioned that before. I think it was in the last video. I love it. It's very relaxing, and while I'm not that good, I still enjoy the process. I started with acrylics, but mainly now I use watercolor paints. I've just really enjoyed doing that. I also have a garden, a large garden, fruit and vegetables, and I just dug up a lot of my yard a couple years ago, a lot of my backyard for a huge cutting garden, but the flowers are so beautiful I don't tend to cut them, only to deadhead anyway, but I just admire them while washing dishes or working outside. I also started quilting about 2 years ago. What is your favorite movie? I would have to say there are 2. Moonlighting, the one that stars Cher and Nicolas Cage, and Fiddler on the Roof. I never tire of watching them. Although as a teenager, my favorite movie was 16 Candles with Molly Ringwald. What is your favorite TV show? Right now, I like the the new Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch, but I also like Doctor Who. What is your favorite book? My all-time favorite is Jane Eyre. I read it at least once a year, which I also have mentioned before. And I have a number of different copies of it just because of the book covers. My second favorite is To Kill a Mockingbird. A relatively new series of books I started reading are from Alan Bradley. It's the Flavia de Luce series. I think there's between 6 and 8. And I have really loved reading them. What is your favorite music? I have eclectic taste. I like all kinds, but I would have to say I, excuse me, really like Bryan Adams' music. Well, I'm from the 80s, so, and I like Barbra Streisand. What one word best describes you? I would have to say sensitive. It's good and bad. I'm very attuned to or affected by other people's pain or suffering, which I think is good, but it's also bad in that I don't handle conflict with other people well. I mean, I hate conflict. I don't like it when someone's going to get angry. I find angry people or gruff people frightening or scary. I feel like I can't stand up for myself or my opinion when someone gets mad. But I would also have to say that artistic or drawn to that way of life, and that's maybe why I'm sensitive, if that makes sense to you. I don't know. But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed this video, and you have a nice day. Thank you.